freedom on every front. They are fighting it here. And how are they doing it? Are they influencing the elections? Well, you've seen all this kind of stuff. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. Now, actually, in my opinion, they are influencing the elections, but it's not in the way you think. Again, this is my opinion based on research that I've done. China and Russia are influencing our elections, but not by stuffing the ballot box, not by corrupting our software. They are fighting our freedom. They are trying to hack our elections via fake news. Now, here's reason I say that. We take info that they post out there as fact, and we repost it. Perfect example. And this had to do with one of the squad. Her name is her name escapes me right now. Sorry, I haven't had enough coffee. Obviously, only a pot and a half. But she's the U.S. representative. She's Muslim. She's from Minneapolis area. Anyhow, there was a post on Facebook. Why, here's this lady addressing Congress and talking about how we need to make the United States a Muslim country. Well, there were just two problems with that post. And people, I've seen this reposted by lots and lots of people. Smart people, people who I think are intelligent individuals. There's only two problems with it. It's not her, and she's not addressing Congress. This is some other lady from back in I want to say the 80s or the 90s, who's addressing another group of radical Muslims saying, look, we need to make the United States a Muslim country. So other than the fact that it was 20 years old, 30 years old, 40 years old, and it wasn't her, and she wasn't addressing Congress, other than that, it was a true story. A lot of people take this and they repost it. Who puts that stuff out there to begin with? In my opinion, it's the Chinese and the Russians, and that's all they have to do. They know this group of tribal Americans hates that group of tribal Americans, and they throw shit out there that is so demeaning, and it fans the flame so much that they just hit the share button on Facebook. That's all you gotta do. And you spread the lies. Now they're out there on the right and the left. I mentioned the one about the congresswoman because that's the one that just came to mind. But it's right and it's left. If you take that information and repost it, then you're part of the problem, friends. The Chi-Coms and Putin. That's who you're helping when you do that. If it seems too bizarre to be true, dear listeners, it probably is. Take it from me. I have spent countless hours. I'm almost embarrassed with the time I've spent researching these things, but I've done it just to prove a point to myself. So if not one of you dear listeners believes me, I believe myself. I know for a fact. I've spent countless hours researching these far-flung stories, and in almost every case, almost all, it's 100% lies, or at least 90% lies. Sometimes there's 10% truth to it, but that's it. There's enough truth to the story to make it believable. But I've researched this stuff, researched it long and hard. And here's what I suggest to you. Here's what I challenge to you. Take a bizarre story like that, and take a bizarre story that you kind of agree with, okay? And before you share it to all your friends on Facebook, do a little bit of research. And I don't mean go to Snopes.com and see if it's real, okay? In my opinion, Snopes is they have an agenda. Let's just say that, okay? In my opinion. But take it and research it. Research the person at that time. Research the person and that place. And go to reliable news sources that will not lie. And CNN, New York Times, New York Post, Washington Post, Washington Times, LA Times, Wall Street Journal is an excellent one if you can get past the firewall. Okay, I pay to be on that site, so I get past the firewall. Bloomberg is another one. Breitbart is another one. Fox News is another one. Forbes is another one. The Economist is another one. Did I say CNN? They're another one. And even these sites, if you're thinking, wow, they're just a far-right news site. Well, they're just a far-left news site. Even the far-right and far-left news sites rarely lie, okay? They may give half-truths. They may only report the stories that they think serve their interest, but they rarely flat-out lie. Research them, okay? And also look very closely at the video, okay? There was a timestamp in that video I was talking about that showed the date in the lower right-hand corner. So you could say, and if you did the math, this lady was 6 when she was supposed to be addressing Congress. And if you saw what the people looked like in the picture, they weren't Congress people. Okay? You could just tell this. Research that stuff before you share it. Because all this baloney is turning us into a divisive tribal country. Not a unified people with different opinions, but finger pointing, finger wagging, hateful tribes of people with different opinions. I'll give you an example. A lot of it is racial because we have a lot of racial strife in this country. Okay. Is there a problem in this country with rogue policemen, rogue cops, killing unarmed black people? Yes. Is that problem getting better? Yes. Is it becoming more rare all the time? Yes. Is it still a problem that needs to be addressed? Yes. I've thrown this out to people, and I've had very few say, yeah, Strong, you're right. And this has to do with the Chauvin murder of George Floyd. Okay? And people say, that's what I'm talking about. Right there is what I'm talking about. Well, look at what happened. You had a bad cop kill a man. They immediately suspended him. After 3 days, charged him, and he will stand trial for killing George Floyd. What does that tell me? The system worked. But what do we do in Minneapolis? Well, we burned down the Target stores. Think about that. The system worked. Here's a bad cop. He did the wrong thing. They threw him in jail. They're going to try him. And if convicted, he could get the needle. The system worked. We did the right thing. And we still burned the Target stores in Minneapolis. To me, that's unbelievable. There's a big black and white crevasse in this country. And I really believe that it's brought on by fanning the flames, the Chicom's, the Russians, fanning the flames of discontent in this country. I heard a guy, I'm assuming he was black because he sounded like he was black, okay? It was radio, so I don't know for sure. But he made the statement that Dr. King was a proponent of violence. This was a guy who was on KMOX, okay, on Charlie Brennan's show. Those of you who don't know, KMOX is the bellwether news station in this country for a long time. KMOX invented the open line format for radio. They invented that a long time ago. It's called At Your Service, okay? And Charlie Brennan's been on KMOX for decades. He's a fixture. And this guy said, well, Dr. King was pro-violence. Dr. King said we need to stop this and go to the streets with our guns and our weapons and make them pay. And Charlie Brennan said, well, where did you get this? I've never read this about Dr. King. And the guy said, well, it's not published, but it's just common knowledge that right before he died, this is what Dr. King said to other people. He was getting ready to say that, and then he died. It's bullshit. It's 100% bullshit and lies. I mean, Dr. King's dead. You can't question him. Well, if he was alive today, he could have told you, but he's dead, so there we go. Dr. King was not for violence. But all of a sudden, this guy, to fan the flames, said he is. Even Dr. King says burn down the targets. That Dr. Emmanuel, the doctor from Cameroon, I want to say, who said take this drug because it'll cure the coronavirus, hydrochloroquine. Probably pronouncing it wrong. But Facebook banned her. Yep, we can't have you on here. That's just lies. We'll take you off of Facebook. We'll take you off Google. We'll take you off of social media, take you off Twitter because you're a liar. However, there's a guy on Facebook. He's an anarchist. There's a picture that he posted of himself with a rifle saying he's going to take up arms in Memphis and make the oppressors pay. He's on Facebook. He hasn't been taken off, but the witch doctor is taken off, okay? It doesn't make sense. Black Lives Matter. You make the statement, Black Lives Matter. Somebody says, well, all lives matter. Well, right now you're a racist, okay? Now, do Black Lives Matter? Let me share something with you. I do not know of anybody, and I know a lot of people, I know of zero people who do not believe that Black Lives Matter. I have heard no person say, you know what, Black lives don't mean a fucking thing. Nobody says that. Nobody says that at all. Everybody agrees Black Lives Matter. Everybody I've spoken to said that Chauvin should be tried and, if convicted, punished for the murder of George Floyd. Everybody. So why, if you even begin to maybe question or oppose Black Lives Matter, are you canceled? Well, first of all, you have to understand what is Black Lives Matter. If it's a statement, that's one thing. But there are about 6 Black Lives Matter organizations. And I've always been of the opinion that if you want to find out what an organization is all about, or if you want to find out what a person is all about, you go to their website or you listen to what they have to say. Here's a statement. Here's the mission statement, manifesto, whatever you'd call it. What Black Lives Matter is all about, and who knows which Black Lives Matter this is because there's many of them. I'm going off of the one blacklivesmatter.com. Okay, seems pretty basic to me. Okay. And if you look at it, it's a very well-organized website, okay? And much of what they say is just common sense. Look, we need to treat everybody with respect, with dignity, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, which nobody disagrees with. But part of what they say on this website, blacklivesmatter.com, I'm going to quote just a few things. And again, please don't take my word for this. Go to blacklivesmatter.com, click on About, and see what they're about. It says, we are self-reflective and do the work required to dismantle cisgender privilege and uplift Black trans folks, especially Black trans women who continue to be disproportionately impacted by the trans agonistic violence. Dismantle cisgender privilege. What is cisgender, for those of you who don't know? That means you're either male or female, and that's it. So in other words, you want to dismantle the system that we have that says, you know what, we have men, we have women, and they get married and they have families. Yeah, but that needs to be dismantled. And uplift Black trans folks, especially Black trans women. So what, fuck Black trans men? Number 2. We dismantle the patriarch practice that requires mothers to work double shifts so they can mother in private even as they participate in public justice works. Now, if you just glance over that statement, it seems right. Yeah, no one should be forced to work double shifts. But dismantle that patriarch practice? Okay, what do you replace it with? If you're going to dismantle something, you have to put something in its place. What do you put in that place? You don't have to work a double shift because you need to have that mother participate in public justice work. Doesn't say so she can raise her child. Doesn't say so she can mother her infant. It says so she can participate in public justice work. So what's the answer? Do you write her a check so she can join your organization for free? Why don't you write her a check and put her to work? Number 3, we foster a queer affirming network. When we gather, We do so with the intention of freeing ourselves from the tight grip of